Alrighty. Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Dark Souls 1. Now, when we left off, we had just entered the Land of Lords, Lordran. Now, sure you must be noticing and asking, hey Zodiac, how come everything looks different? That is because episode 1 was recorded with the original Dark Souls, not the remaster. Yeah, I haven't played Dark Souls in so long that I literally forgot on my PC I didn't have remastered Dark Souls. I had just the original Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition. So, yeah, I quickly fixed that problem, and now we are in the remastered Dark Souls, where everything looks a little bit nicer and the gameplay is just a little bit better. So, start off our adventure. Here we have the Crestfallen Warrior, the first NPC you're likely to meet and talk to. So, the Crestfallen Warrior is, like us, an undead.
Well, what do we have here? You must be a new arrival. Let me guess. Fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first. But there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum. But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are, actually, 2 bells of awakening. One's up above in the undead church. The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both, and something happens. Brilliant, right? Not much to go on, but I have a feeling that won't stop you. So, off you go. It is why you came, isn't it? To this accursed land of the undead?
So, like I was saying, Crestfallen Warrior, he too is an undead just like us. And he has given us a very helpful tip. So, unlike what Oscar told us, there are actually 2 bells of awakening. There's one in the Undead Burg just ahead, and there's one in a place called Blight Town, which we will be getting to much later. So, here the Crestfallen Warrior, his entire deal is that he too was an undead trying to achieve the prophecy. But at some point he basically just gave up, and now he spends his days here waiting for new arrivals to give them some sort of guidance. Or perhaps mock them. Maybe a bit of both. Anyways, he'll give you some helpful tips starting out, basically just a few pointers about where to go, what to do. Honestly though, watching this guide, it'll be good enough. Normally I'd recommend you go through all the dialogue of any NPC, but he's the only one who mostly you just sporadically check on. Later on, as more people end up here in Firelink Shrine, his dialogue will get more interesting, so on and so forth. Anyways, first item right here, a couple of humanities. Those are used for reversing our hollowing and restoring our kindling. Or kindling the bonfires even, not restoring our kindling. Anyways, there's a couple more items around Firelink Shrine we should get, like these fire bombs. And just up here, we will meet our second NPC, Petrus of Thorland. Yeah, he looks like your average friar boy combined with a heavy crusader. Let me tell you right now, though, this guy is an asshole, and we'll see why eventually.
Hello there. I believe we are not acquainted. I am Petrus of Thorland. Have you business with us? If not, I'd prefer to keep a distance, if possible.
Just keep going through his dialogue.
I realize that I have requested that we retain our distance, but I also want you to know that it is not meant in ill will. Here, take this, as a token of peace. No, go ahead. It's for you. Oh my, you again. Oh, I know. How about this? I have to await my companions here anyway. So what if I were to teach you some miracles? Would that please you?
And yes, it would.
Very well.
Even though I'm not going to use them.
Then first, a covenant with the gods.
Alright. Now, I'm going to join this covenant. Covenants are a system that is featured pretty prominently in this game, though they're not really used much in other games, at least not to the extent they are in this one. Covenants are basically like mini factions that you can join, and if you provide items to them, each covenant has a specific item that it needs to level up. If you level up in covenants more and more, then they'll provide you with unique items and special other privileges and such. So you should try and join every covenant that you come across, because when you join them and then return to the bonfire, you'll be able to just switch covenants on the fly at the bonfire, so it's kind of worth just joining every single one that you find.
Now let me share my miracles. Only their ultimate effectiveness will be determined by your efforts and your faith.
So, guys with a covenant, they'll also sometimes serve as a merchant as well. So Petrus here is selling a couple of miracles, pretty basic ones. Heals, basically heal. Homeward, it teleports you to the last bonfire that you visited. Force pushes enemies away with a shockwave. Seek guidance. Never been too sure what this one does, honestly, as far as I can tell. It just makes more messages appear, at least I think. Aside from that, we also have Great Heal Excerpt. It's a more powerful healing spell, but as it says Excerpt, it can only be used once. So this is basically, there are greater healing spells like Great Heal. This is an early version of it that you can only use once. Pretty useful, but we're not going to be, or at least I'm not going to be using Faith in this build, because for this playthrough we're going to be going for a Strength build. Strength, I tend to find, is just the most reliable build for Dark Souls 1 at the very least, and it's just generally my go-to. So we won't be using any faiths or miracles for this playthrough. Aside from that, he also sells just a basic talisman in case you didn't choose the cleric, and Thorlin talisman if you want a slightly different / better one. Honestly though, don't really bother buying it from him, because in just a second we're gonna get this from a chest. So aside from that, you can also learn his gesture, Shrug. There are plenty of characters and merchants who will just have a gesture for you to learn from them. It's how you expand your repertoire of gestures for the most part in this game. Aside from that, we can still hold a conversation with them.
My companions are Milady and her young knights. She is young, but burdened by an undead mission. We are her defenses, to keep her from harm.
So yeah, he is just waiting for his friends and for his milady. But as you'll see, this guy is not as innocent and good as he likes to make himself out to be.
An undead mission? Regrettably, I cannot share that with you. But you are my pupil. Perhaps if you show your faith.
Yeah, see right here, a holy man taking a bribe. What a good person.
Very well. I can surely tell you, of all people, undead clerics are given a mission to seek kindling. Kindling is the art of feeding bonfires with humanity. Through kindling, we shall one day be granted magnificent powers.
So, as he mentioned, when his buddies
again.
get here,
The effectiveness of the teachings depend upon your faith.
So, as he mentioned, when his buddies get here, they'll be going on a mission to find the Rite of Kindling, which is an item that we will receive ourselves later on in the game. And that allows us to kindle bonfires more, which I'll explain what kindling is in just a bit. It's a fairly common, well understood mechanic, but I believe it's only really featured in Dark Souls 1. All the other Souls games and Souls-like have a different method when it comes to the mechanic that it imparts on, so I still feel that it will probably be a good idea to explain it in case of any new players. So, this here is an elevator shaft that's going to be used as a shortcut later on, but for now, if you drop down it, you'll find yourself in a little area that's got quite a few chests. So right here, we've got Homeward Bones. Now, Homeward Bones, they're basically the item that we use in order to travel back to the most recently visited bonfire. Unlike other Souls-likes like Elden Ring, there is no just immediate fast travel in this game. And hell, unlike even just other games in this series, fast travel is just not something you can do in this game, at least not yet. Later on in the game, we will be getting an item that will allow for fast travel between bonfires, but until then, you have no way to fast travel. The only thing you can really do is use Homeward Bones, and these allow you to fast travel to your most recently visited bonfire, just in case you either get lost or stuck or overwhelmed by enemies, or you just have low health and you have a lot of souls, and you just want to secure yourself so that you can spend those souls on leveling or something. Other than that, we have a Morning Star and a Talisman. Again, a Talisman is the thing you need in order to cast incantations. Otherwise, we have this Morning Star, which we're going to be switching to because it is a strength weapon, which is again what we're building for, and it also procs bleed, which is very useful because bleed is something that can do a lot of damage in a short amount of time if it procs. Aside from that, I'm also going to put on our fire bombs just because it's a useful consumable, does quite a bit of damage, and is very useful against enemies that are weak to fire. We also have cracked red eye orbs. Those are the items that you're going to be using to try and invade. They're temporary consumables, but you'll get a permanent red eye orb later on in the game so that you can invade all that you want. Aside from that, we also have Lloyd's Talisman. This is an item that you can use against other players if you're invading or being invaded, and it basically prevents them from healing for a time. Now, as you can see, there's an item down there. But there's also those weird bits right there, and there's blood pools, like blood splatters right there. Those guys down there are skeletons, and there's a lot of them. There's also some pretty cool items down there. Now, we could fight them, but skeletons are a pain in the ass to deal with because you have to kill them twice, unless you have a sacred weapon. But we don't have a sacred weapon right now. So instead of sitting around and fighting them, we're just gonna run. We're going to grab this item, and we're going to keep running. We're going to run around all these bones, get away from the big skeleton. Run down, and grab these binoculars. We're going to dodge these attacks. If we can. And yeah. So yeah, they'll very easily corner you and just knock you down. But it's fine. All we gotta do is run back there and reclaim our souls. So yeah, don't worry if those guys get you. Honestly, even I struggle getting through this little bit without ever dying. It's easier when there's less items to pick up. Like right now. So we're just gonna go back. Come back this way. Go this way. We're gonna slide on down. I'm just gonna run past all of these guys. Now, honestly, the thing to keep in mind, watch your stamina, because if you stop running and let your stamina rebuild before it all fully drains, your stamina will recharge faster than if you just bottom it out. So honestly, it's a better idea to just keep running until just before your stamina drains, then stop running, let it recharge a bit, and then just keep going. Now we're gonna run this way. Recharge. We're gonna keep on running. Come around this little bit and grab that item. And we're gonna walk along this edge. Be very careful. It's very easy to fall here. And now we're gonna sit at the bottom. Force the enemies to reset. Now, with that done, still a few more items to pick up. First and foremost, we're gonna come up these stairs. We're gonna walk around. And we're gonna grab Soul of the Lost Undead. And we're gonna jump down. Go this way. Now, as you can see, there's another item down there, and there's another item just down that way. We're gonna grab them both. So roll. Grab the item. Run this way. Around. Grab these. Run past them. Run back around. Run past these guys. Rest at the bottom. Alright. So, that's another little mechanic right there. If an enemy gets too close to a bonfire, the bonfire will basically just shut off, and it can't be used until the enemies are dealt with. So, we're just going to deal with this guy. Yeah, these guys have a lot of health, so they're annoying to deal with. Thankfully, he didn't revive. Sometimes they will, though. Oh, hell. He might even just revive on my back. Either way, out of our hearing. So, now that we've done all of that, we can begin our journey in earnest. Now, with all the souls that we have, we could level up right now, but we want to save our souls because there's an important item that we're going to be buying in just a little bit. So for now, save your souls. And head up this way. Alright, so we've got a bit of a fight here. There's that dude, and there's that dude up above who's going to start throwing fire bombs. See, just like that. That's how a lot of enemies are set up in this game. They're set up so that there's, you know, basically to try and ambush you or have some sort of advantage on you, whether it be a guy up above throwing fire bombs or even an enemy with a bow and arrow sniping you from above. Excuse me. Now, as you saw that weird effect that made that really weird noise, sometimes killing some enemies will just give you another Estus Flask. I'm honestly not sure what causes it, how or why. It kind of just happens at random. Ooh, dropped a Titanite Shard. That's good. Titanite Shards are very good because they upgrade your stuff. Another Lost Soul of an Undead. Now, over there, you can see there's an item. So we're going to have to make a jump for it. So in order to jump, you just run, and then you press B again. Or B for me. Basically, you press the same running button twice as you're running, and that'll let you jump. Can be a bit difficult to land sometimes, a bit weird to get used to, especially in comparison to other games, but it's simple enough. So over here we have a Ring of Sacrifice, a very good item. Ring of Sacrifice, basically, if you're going through an area and there's a lot of tough enemies and they happen to kill you, Ring of Sacrifice is a great way to help get your runes back. So, in the description, it'll say that lose nothing upon death, but ring breaks. While that is true, and you can just wear it if you're going through a tough area and don't want to lose your runes, if you did lose your runes out in the world, you can put this ring on, and when you die, it will not reset your runes. Basically, the Ring of Sacrifice makes it as though that death never happened. So, it's basically a one free chance to get your runes back, which is very good at like reclaiming a bunch of runes that you may have lost. That, I almost killed myself right there. Anyways, continuing on, we're going to head up this way. And grab this. Another Soul of Lost Undead. Now, honestly, another question that I've never really seen answered is these dead hollows. At least, what I presume to be hollows. Being hollow means that you should just resurrect eventually whenever you die, yet these guys are permanently dead. Now, it could be that they were humans and they just died like this and just decayed over time. But otherwise, I mean, these guys look like hollows to me, so I don't understand how they're permanently dead. Questions for later. Maybe we'll figure it out one day. Over here, we have a fucking rat. A motherfucking rat. So rats, pretty easy enemies to deal with, but their main, I guess, benefit is that they are a great source of humanities. There's really only a few ways to get humanities. You can find them out just laying around in the world as obtainable items, and later on you'll be able to get a spell that will allow you to drain humanities from humans, both like NPCs as well as other players. Otherwise, though, the only other option is killing giant rats, as they're the only creatures that drop humanity, because giant rats feed on human corpses, and thus they feed on humanity. Pretty cool little lore tidbit. Some more hollows here. Good try, buddy. Good try, buddy. This dude. Oh, ow, he got me. That sucked. Fighting tight quarters can be a pain, because your weapon can just hit a wall, completely ruin your attack. Anyways, so instead of going through that fog door, we are going to use barrels. Got a large Lost Soul of an Undead. And we're going to come right down here. And deal with these two. Yeah, Alright, now aside from there, also gonna hop in here, get a Soul of a Lost Undead, and that way is blocked, so instead come back down here. And as you can see, quite a few undead just hanging out right there, ready for an ambush. Now, normally they'd try to swarm you, but if you know the ambush is coming, you can just knock them off the wall. rubbish. Yeah. When you heal in this game, you have to stop and stand completely still, so just be careful of that. Humanity. Oh, and there's another undead. Where do you come from, buddy? Oh, whatever. You're dead now. Oh. Almost missed this item. Firebomb. This fog wall. Another item just behind the staircase. Now, over here, you can see a message and stuff, but we can't make that jump. So I'll have to get there another way. And big ol' dragon. Yeah, quite the intro for this place. We'll be dealing with that guy later. Yeah. As I was talking about earlier, they'll have a guy with a bow and arrow basically sniping from elsewhere. Make it annoying to deal with. Ow. Alright, so we're going to light this bonfire, but we are not going to rest at it just yet. This is an unkindled bonfire, so it'll only give us 5 Estes, which should probably explain what kindling is. So, kindling is basically how you increase the number of Estes Flasks that you get every single time you rest at a bonfire. Kindling can be achieved by using humanity to first reverse your hollowing, which will give you back your human-like appearance, and after that, you can kindle a bonfire to basically increase the bonfire's level. A first level bonfire will only give you 5 Estes. A second level bonfire, like the one back in Firelink Shrine, will give you 10 Estes. Now you can raise it more, but we can't do that quite yet, unfortunately, because we do not have the Rite of Kindling. The Rite of Kindling is an item that we'll get later on in the game. We'll get it from a boss. Pretty easy one too. But that's the thing that Petrus and his guys are after, and they'll be going into the area where you can get it. But they aren't here yet, and so we're not going to be going after the guy who has it just yet. Now, again, you could level up here if you want, but instead of doing that, we're going to come around this way and deal with these guys. Now, these guys are spear and shield. Generally, they stay behind their shields a lot, which can make them a little annoying to deal with. Now, you can try and bait out an attack by either attacking them and then just waiting, or if that's not working, if you press forward and right bumper really quickly, you'll kick, which will open up his shield and basically force him to take your attacks. Now, I tend to find that after that first attack, these guys get a lot more aggressive. The stalemate's been broken, so now they're just outright attacking. When you get in here, careful, there's a guy behind here waiting for another ambush. Him pretty easily. Now over here, we have our very first merchant, the Undead merchant.
Well now, you seem to have your wits about you, hmm? Then you are a welcome customer. I trade for souls. Everything's for sale.
Now he, like most NPCs, can be talked to. And when you talk to him, he'll give you some pretty helpful tips.
Things are getting treacherous in these parts. A horrible goat demon has moved in below. And up above, there's that humongous drake and a bull demon too. If you stick around this place, it might end up being your grave.
So he gives you a little forewarning about some of the bosses that'll be coming up eventually. Pretty helpful tip.
Here, I'm not here to chit-chat. We talk business or we talk nothing at all.
Otherwise, pretty standoffish. Now, you can kill him, and if you do, I'm pretty sure that's how you get the Uchikatana, which is a great dex weapon, but I honestly wouldn't recommend that because he sells some pretty useful stuff. First and foremost being the orange guidance stone. That's how you write messages to other players. Aside from that, he also sells the residence key, which can help open some doors around this area. If you have the master key, I'm pretty sure they open the same doors, but we'll probably buy that as well, just in case. But before we do that, we want to buy the repair box. The repair box is very, very necessary because in this game, weapons have durability.
Thank you kindly.
So, as you'll see, if I come to my Morning Star, you can see down there, just above the weight, there is durability. It's at 172. Now, I believe durability is a mechanic in other Souls games. Dark Souls 3, I know, uses it. But in Dark Souls 3, durability is repaired every single time you rest at a bonfire. In this game, that does not happen. Your weapons will not repair unless you use the repair box to repair them. If the weapon breaks, it'll basically become useless. Now, thankfully, it doesn't cost too much to repair them, and if you just stay on top of it, it's a pretty cheap price. But, you know, just keep that in mind. Durability does exist, so be aware of that. Now, aside from that, we're going to be using a couple souls to buy a few other items that he has.
Oh, I hope you...
First one being the short bow. We're going to need this for an enemy later on. Aside from him, we're also going to need standard arrows, and we're going to buy about 100 of them should serve us. Aside from that, we'll also just buy the resonance key just for the hell of it.
Oh, thank you very much. Come back soon.
And now we'll be on our way. So, we're going to head through this patch. And now we've got a couple undead. Want to be careful, because like every Souls-like, these guys do not take turns attacking you. They'll hit you all at once if they can. Now, if you were so lucky as to have something like throwing knives, you could draw them in all at once. I don't currently possess any, but throwing knives are basically a good way to lure enemies to you and get them away from a group. Now, coming up here, we have one more item, which throwing knives, so now we have them. We're going to make this jump. Can be kind of a tricky jump, so, you know, don't worry if you don't make it on your first try. And up here, we have a light crossbow and some standard bolts. So now, we're going to come back down. Head up this way. Oh, and yes, before I forget, I'm going to open this door. And behind here, it's just a small little balcony with a wooden shield. Down there is an area that we'll get to a bit later in the game. So, I'm going to come up here, and now we're going to rest at this bonfire. Now, if you need to, you can spend your souls. I don't have enough to level up at all just because of the items that we bought, but it's fairly easy to just farm a couple enemies around this area and level up. So, I believe that will do us for this episode. Next episode, we'll be continuing through the Undead Parish, and hopefully, we'll get to our very first boss fight. Hope to see you guys there, and thanks for watching.